For more on the subsidy removal, the Director General, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Segun Ajayi Kadril, joins us live from our Abuja studios. A pleasure having you with us.
Thank you for having me.
How in his inaugural speech, President Bola Tinubu hinted that there is no provision for fuel subsidy, and that pronouncement had a domino effect on pump prices, market prices, and what have you. How is this affecting the manufacturing sector?
Well, just like all other sectors of the Nigerian economy, the manufacturing sector is going to be impacted in several ways, some positive and some negative. On the negative side, it is going to lead to an increase in the inflation rate, which currently stands at 22.04, and which all of us agree is unhealthy for the national economy. Also, it is going to lead to generally high costs of production. Our logistics value chain will witness increase in cost. And it is going to also affect even at the rate of presence of our workers where we work. So I think that in terms of the major effect, it is the high cost that is going to come into effect. And that is why I think majorly a lot of people are worried. But like I said, there is the positive aspect of it. And the positive aspect of it is the fact that we are going to have a regime that opens up the sector. And so when you are talking about the negative impact and the high cost of pump price, you need to situate it within a context. The manufacturing sector, MAN as an organization, for instance, have always called for removal of subsidy because of the associated effect on the economy. It has led to very high cost of running the subsidy. It has also led to some disincentive in terms of local investment in the oil and gas sector. So it's a mixed bag, but we know that the negative side is always amplified.
Now let's look at the timing. There's been a lot of criticism regarding it. They feel that it's ill-timed. What's your take on this?
Well, I think it will always be a debate as to whether there is a wrong time to do the right thing. And I think whether we like it or not, fuel subsidy is not sustainable. Several governments have said it. And I think what the Tinubu administration is doing is squarely facing the matter and trying to ensure that it does not get distracted or persuaded not to take that action. That was why probably Mr. President mentioned it day one. There has been issues about whether it should wait until the palliatives are put in place, until redeeming measures are made. But that will continue to be a matter of debate. But it is important, however, that government should recognize that there are pains that will come with this increase. And so measures should be taken, and evidently too, so that the people will be able to see the positive side of it. As a matter of fact, I think that the question of being ill-timed has to do with the trust deficit that governments have accumulated over the years, not only even the past administration. Over the years, people have tended not to trust government. So when government says that it is for the good of the people, many people do not believe.
So what will be the best approach the government can take to ensure that this pain and sufferings that people are going through is able to be eased in the long term, that it doesn't stretch any further?
Well, I think government needs to do more in terms of communication. It is not just enough to announce that fuel subsidy is gone. There are people that will be whose livelihood will be negatively impacted. There are businesses that will be affected. There are even small-scale industries that use petrol as to generate power. So I think government needs to take immediate steps. One of it could be that there should be immediate improvement in supply of electricity, because it is not all about transportation that petrol is used. We also see people using it to power their generators because there is inadequate supply of electricity. So that could assuage the hardship that people are feeling. Also, there should be improvement in the transportation system in the country, such that it's able to break down the cost. Also, government should be able to meet the concerned organizations, particularly the labor union and all concerned stakeholders, so that it will bring them to a table and see how other pain points can be brought down. Because when you really look at it, it's an issue of cost of doing business, a rise in inflation. So there are other pain points that add up together to make life unbearable for the people. So if government takes deliberate steps to reduce those pain points, it will make it a lot easier for the people to be able to cope with the challenges that will come with the increase in the pump price. I mean, there's multiplicity of taxes and levies. There is also the issue of regulatory agencies that have continued to focus more on revenue generation other than facilitating business. So there are quite a number of measures that can be taken at the same time so that other costs are brought down, and then the impact on the people will be less.
And there's been a lot of criticism with the handling of the process. We heard from the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. Organized labor and others have an axe to grind with the federal government. And organized labor has threatened industrial action. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, it's quite disturbing, particularly the strike action that is being threatened. I think it's to take place on the 7th, to commence from the 7th. Today is the 3rd. I hope that between this time, government will be able to reach out to the labor union so that they are able to discuss with them and persuade them not to embark on this strike. Because, look, the economy is already in trouble. And I believe that we may not, a strike at this time will not augur well for the economy of the country. So all attempts should be made by government to persuade labor to see a reason with government. You see, I think that there is need for dialogue. There's need to put labor, for instance, through on what the issues are. I mean, you cannot have a fuel subsidy regime where you will pay 7 trillion for fuel subsidy. And look at the deficit we have in our budget, it's about 12 trillion. So if you take this 7 trillion out of it, I mean, it will bring some relief to the economy, and it could be channeled into the provision of infrastructure, roads, health, and education. If you look at the figure for subsidy, it is about 2-3 times the size of the budget for health. And for education, it's even far more. So I think it's important that government really puts these issues before the labor union and try to persuade them not to go on strike, because it's an incoming administration. I think so far, President Tinubu has said the right things. He should immediately start to put those words into action so that people will know, so that the citizen will know that he means well. This is a very delicate matter, and they have legitimate reasons to be worried, to be concerned, because it's going to diminish the livelihood of people. So I believe that a concerted effort must be made by government. And this will happen quickly if government comes up with the list of ministers and other persons that will be able to help to manage the situation.
Okay.
I believe that well-meaning Nigerians should weigh in on this. it is important that we give the new administration the chance to channel the resources of the country appropriately. It is not in the interest of Nigeria to continue to pay subsidy and to continue to incentivize foreign production, because the fuel that is being subsidized is produced from outside the country. So Nigeria is just feeding the factors of production of those countries, and it's a disincentive for domestic production. I think there are economic arguments that government must advance in a conciliatory manner so that the government is not seen as being punitive with this otherwise very important and positive measure.
Okay, Mr. Segun Ajayi Kadri, the Director General, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10.
Thank you for having me.